Africa 2063 is a very big dream. It's a dream that we all must pursue. I want to say I am envisaging Africa to be that continent where every man and woman on planet Earth will be rushing to go. Not to go and see the slums, not to go and see the dictators, not to go and see the war heroes, but to go and see the beauty of Africa, the beauty of the people of Africa, how you would see responsible governments, you see institutions.
I think at the time when the African Union and heads of states announced that they want to have Agenda 2063, which is a vision for Africa for the next 50 years, it was made very clear that it's going to be a vision for African citizens. And so I would like to say that the Agenda 2063 actually reflects the reality, the voices, the interests, and the needs of all African citizens, young people, women, and other marginalized groups that exist in Africa, that actually this is an agenda that speaks to them, a vision that they call their own, and they all work towards achieving. And so I would like to see this agenda actually addressing all the issues that are faced by African citizens, and I would like to see it looking at all citizens as equal and their rights being protected.
Young people are into agriculture right now. We need to bring such big issues like governance, rule of law to these young people, because when they understand, they're going to work even better and greater in these issues, because governance really involves them and directly affects them. If it's good governance, we are going to have more employment, we are going to have better food, we are going to have more export, and we are going to have better food security.
The average age in this room, I would assume it's about 25, right? So if you add 50 years to 25, that's 75. Now, what that means is in 2063, nobody in this room will be considered youth. Unless you happen to be from Nigeria, where the political parties select their youth leaders from ages 70. You actually have political parties in Nigeria where the youth leader is 70 plus.
2063 agenda, young people have got a paramount role to play. They are designing the whole agenda because they're the driving force to the future of Africa. They also need to be meaningfully involved in designing the whole agenda. What are the key targets of Africa in the next 50 years? How are young people going to be involved in the implementation? They are not just leaders today, but they are also leading Africa tomorrow. So they are the rightful people to be positioned in developing the whole framework of this agenda, because issues that are affecting the globe today, they'll be changing in the next 5 years, they'll be changing in the next 20 years. So young people are the driving force, because they're going to move with this agenda and make sure the Pan-African vision is going to be moving forward. I believe that if young people are well informed on what they have to do in this agenda, they are able to make sure that they can evaluate and monitor the progress and also reflect after the 50 years how they've managed to make a contribution to it and what will be the legacy for another 50 years after this 2063 agenda. Really, democracy and governance in Africa lies in the hands of young people, and they are the driving force to the future.
We need to, as young people, begin to think of alternative sources of funding for the African development agenda, because we cannot be talking about partners and depending on donor funds in 50 years' time. No, it won't make sense to us. We need to, as young people, begin to think of alternative sources of funding. We know the politics involved. We know that a lot of African heads of states their hands are tied. We know all those things. We know that when we take aid from these countries, a lot of things come in. We know, but we are not in that position yet. So the earlier we begin to strategize on how to alternatively finance our projects, the better for us. Because 2063, what I do not want to see as a person is my children still talking about UNFPA, UNDP, and all of these partners. We need to be able to create homegrown political, financial, and academic solutions to our own problems.
We need to ensure that our education speaks to our realities. The gaps in our societies, our education speaks to them. There's no need for us producing people who cannot solve our problems. You understand? What is the essence of the education that does not even addresses our problems? You understand? Someone said recently somewhere that Chinese people don't speak good English, but everywhere in the world we buy their products. So it's not about speaking English, it's about the fact that there is a reality in our environment that we must be able to feel. So for me, I think that these three, creative industry, education and technology, is key for Africa achieving the 2063 agenda.
I think we have to move from the era of leaders who believe in longevity and get into leaders who believe in legacy. You can be wonderful at your job, but you should be humble enough to admit that you're not the only human being that can make this agenda move through. So at the end of 2 terms, a leader should be able to say, well, I've done it. Yes, the people may want you.
We don't have our freedoms, like collective and individual freedoms, no rights, and we don't even know our duties. And for the youth, they're just asking us to be part of the political life and active life, but actually it is just for marketing, I think. And young people should stop being victims.
Young Africans must go out there and then take the initiative to learn, to understand, to take part in every aspect of their country's development, especially the political process. Young people must stand for elections, young people must contest elections so as to be the change that we want to see.
I think the role of young people is to insist that the older generation, the analog generation, the generation who are allergic to technology and effective means of communication, that we insist that they embrace technology and that they use technology to not only communicate but to interact with and listen to and respond to citizens. And that should be our role, that no more should governments be photocopying reams and reams of pages to discuss a small topic, that they should embrace digital communication and forms of getting things done more effectively and more efficiently.
It's walk the talk. We should now walk the talk instead of just talking. So I see the next 50 years having, it will be more developed, and then our young people will be more eloquent. They will speak for what they want to see. It's not only about, now we are talking, and then now the next 50 years will be action, action, and action, and then we'll see the results from there.
We need to be able to be confident enough to take on the mantle of leadership. But then after we have taken on the mantle of leadership, own Africa in the next 50 years, because they are not going to be there, we are going to be there. And once we have owned it, because you know that once you own something, you treasure it, then we're probably going to be able to work harder to make sure that we're just not, as well, we're not handing over a kind of Africa to our children, like, our forefathers have handed over to us, that we are giving them something more reliable, something more solid, and I've had very many leaders say they're not proud of the Africa that they're passing on to us, or even the world that they're passing on to us. And so we should work hard in the next 50 years to be able to see that we are different, and we're able to pass on a generation and an Africa that is much better for our children.